to another episode of Senior Flicks, and we are so happy today to have an expert advice session that we're going to be participating in. I've got a guest. His name is Ken Upton. Ken and I have been friends for years, and Ken is a retired police officer, but I'm not going to tell you any more about him. He's going to tell you about himself. So Ken, talk to me about your choice of lifestyle. How did you get into policing? How did it all work out for you?
Well, John, first of all, thanks for having me on your show. I think this is great to be able to interview people and send this out to your audience here at Shepherd Village. Policing, that's where I ended up. I come from a home of a pastor's home, same as you, and I went to Bible college in the mid-'80s. And
same as me?
Yeah, same school, and all of my friends went into pulpit ministry. And I decided to go into policing. I had an older brother that was serving in the Ontario Provincial Police, and that encouraged me. And the Lord opened the door, and I'm so thankful that worked out for me. And I spent 30 years with the OPP, and I'm now retired, enjoying retirement, and it's been a really great run.
That's fantastic. And just, it was a calling a little bit, like ministry's a calling, but did you feel that a little bit, a sense of that?
Yeah, I did. I really did. And it's without going into great detail, the Lord really opened the door for me to enter policing. The recruitment that I went through at that time was quite difficult, but the Lord opened a door and put people in my path that helped me, and gained much experience while I was in policing, and it was a wonderful time.
That's great. That's great. Now, Ken, expert advice. We were going to have you come and teach us how to shoot a gun, but you didn't bring your gun today, so we'll go another direction if that's okay.
That's fine. No problem.
What we wanted to have you talk to us a little bit about is really senior safety in terms of fraud or any other kinds of abuse. Tell me your experience as a police officer. What are some of the types of things that you encountered?
Well, first of all, this is a great topic for seniors. Regarding my career, I was involved in so many different things, dealing with people, enforcing traffic laws, dealing with issues involving the Criminal Code of Canada. But obviously in my 30-year career, police officers will deal from time to time with complaints of people being ripped off. Someone might call the office and say that I've been scammed out of a certain amount of money, or a family member perhaps has taken advantage of me. What do we do? So it's at times like that we have to offer direction and good advice, and at times lay the appropriate criminal code charge, because it is a violation. Now, it's an interesting topic because there's so many different ways that people, especially seniors, can be taken advantage of, and I'm happy to talk about those things today. I think it's vitally important for your audience and for seniors right across this country to be aware and to be on the lookout all the time and to be on guard against these types of scams and frauds and problems.
Tell us about some of the most common ones that you've dealt with or that you're familiar with today.
Well, in the course of my career, I started in 1986. So my best memory of scams early in my career would be getting complaints from people that involved phone calls. They got like a phone scam. It would be typical to get a call from someone that said, look, I received a phone call from someone, I don't know who they are. They say that they owe money, I owe money, and the senior perhaps or the person panics and sends money. That was very common. Even before that, mail scams. People would receive letters. You get Christmas cards, you get bills through the mail, then there'd be one envelope, you didn't really know what it was, they'd open it up, and it would be something something regarding that person owing money to the government, to perhaps someone from another country, this type of thing. So I can say this, scams have evolved. They've evolved into very much trickery is used now, more than ever. So the 80s are gone. We came through the 90s. Scams got, they just grew and became more popular because there was always a criminal element.
Yes.
Always trying to obtain money somehow. So there are a plethora of ways that people, seniors, can be scammed.
Talk about a few of those specifically, if you
Well,
can.
the one that, quite a few come to mind. Let's start, and I'll try and go through these very quickly. And I'm hoping that perhaps your audience, if they're listening or watching right now, might grab a pen, maybe a piece of paper.
It's a good idea.
Maybe make a few notes. I won't talk long about each one, but let's look at some of these. Let's look at, for example, mechanical fraud or mechanics fraud, where a senior, I'm going to, from this point on, I'll talk about seniors.
Sure.
A senior has a problem with their vehicle. And we all have vehicles. Most of us have vehicles. We have issues with our cars. We have mechanics that we trust.
Yes.
There's great mechanics out there, and we need them. But there are times where a senior might have a problem with a vehicle and has to go and get help at a garage, maybe a garage they're not familiar with. So they end up getting a quote for a small job for an exorbitant amount of money.
Right.
The senior feels that, well, that's that sounds right. I need my car, and it could be that the bill is way too high, but they don't know. So how do we deal with that? First of all, being aware of it, being aware that those type of situations, when you take your car into a shop that you're not familiar with, never pay anything. Don't get the work done until you're satisfied that's a fair amount to charge. Maybe ask a family member, maybe somebody from your social group that maybe knows something about cars. Just double check before you pay that bill, because there have been instances where seniors have been taken advantage of when it comes to mechanical issues and mechanical repairs on their car. Another way would be for, say, a senior needs to have some work done in their home. Maybe their bathroom needs to be renovated, or they need to do some kitchen work, or whatever. Painting is another one. And they'll bring someone in that they've not met, and it could be that individual quotes an exorbitant amount for a paint job. Say, for example, a senior needs their house painted, their living room, their kitchen, their bathroom, and they get quoted $5,000. And the person's nice about it, and the senior goes, well, they're nice. I guess that's what they're charging. Okay, I'll pay the $5,000. Meanwhile, the job could really be done for maybe $1,500.
Wow.
So what do we do? What does the senior do? How about call a family member, one of your children, check with a close friend, and just run that scenario by them.
Get multiple quotes, maybe.
You
even
could get
other people come
well,
in.
and that's a great point, John. It's always great to maybe get more than one quote. But this happened. This has happened before, and so we want to be. Seniors need to be aware that when they get a quote on work to be done, that it's a reasonable quote, and always double check with a family member and make sure that it's not an exorbitant amount.
Now, I have one I want to ask you about, because I recently got an email that I am related to somebody in Mozambique who passed away, and all I had to do was send a little bit of money, and I am going to get $18 million, which I'm going to tithe to Shepherd Village. But it's legit? Is it on the level,
well, John,
or no?
I think you should just halt right there. Don't send any money until you talk to someone. So you're talking to me about
Tell me about that scam.
Well, I'm suggesting to you, thank you for running it by me, my suggestion to you is, don't do anything. Don't send any money. You're asking for advice from me, from a friend. It's a great idea. And you, knowing you, John, you're such a friendly, trusting person. You love people. You might believe the person that's sending that email.
And those are absolutely scams. I'm joking about it, but they're scams.
All those email scams where they're looking for money, seniors should ignore every one of them. Write that down. Seniors should write that down. Never send money because of an email you've received, even if you believe the person is a nice person on the other end of that email. Just no money needs to be sent. No checks are written. No going into the bank to withdraw cash to send. None of that. Absolutely none. So that is a very common one, the email scams. Here's another one that is quite popular. You may have heard about this in the news, where you'll be at home and your phone will ring. And you'll pick up your phone because you have grandchildren, you have children, you don't know who's on the other. So you answer, hello, and you hear a voice of someone that sounds pretty official. And they tell you that they're from the Canada Revenue Agency. Well, your ears are going to perk up because you've always paid your taxes, John, and you've always tried to do the right thing. This person on the phone tells you that you owe a certain amount of money, an exorbitant amount of money, and if it's not paid, then you'll be arrested. Well, Well, John, that's going to freak you out.
Absolutely.
Because remember, let's just pretend you're believing everyone. You're going to believe that person. So you start to get nervous. You start to scramble. You now start to figure out ways of how you're going to pay that bill. And they tell you that, well, there's certain ways you can pay it. You're going to need to send a check or money order to this address. Or maybe they do something strange, like they want you to go to pay this bill, this Canada Revenue bill. They want you to go to Walmart or another store to pick up gift cards, like an Amazon gift card or multiple cards, and then you're to send those cards. It sounds strange, but this is how scammers operate.
Right.
They'll call you, they'll threaten you. They've even gone as far as threatening people that they're going to show up at the door to arrest. And those fraudsters will even dress in a police or a security outfit and show up and knock on the door. Seniors, it totally freaks them out, and rightfully so. And I think when we're talking about things like this, seniors can not only benefit, but the children of those seniors. They don't want mom or dad to be scammed.
Right.
So a phone call to your house, you don't know who the person is, they threaten you about how you owe money. Definite no-no. Always hang up on that person. Can I tell you another one that comes over the phone? This is a very popular one as well, and I remember a lady in Kitchener approaching me some years ago after I did a fraud presentation to a seniors group. And she approached me and told me that she received a call from an individual who claimed to be their grandson. And the grandson said to them, Grandma? And the lady said, is this so-and-so? Just, is this Tyler? Because she has a grandson named Tyler. Is this Tyler? Well, of course, the fraudster or the trickster on the other end of the phone said, yes, Grandma, this is Tyler. And I'm in a tough situation. I need money. I'm in trouble. Well, Tyler, where are you? Well, Grandma, and the story goes on. Grandma gets fished in. Grandma actually thinks her actual grandson, Tyler, is in trouble.
Yes.
Meanwhile, the person phoning is a trickster, perhaps from another country. So the person ends up paying money, trying to send money or going to get cash out of the bank because someone's going to come to their house and pick up that cash. Fraud is everywhere, and being tricked. We've all seen magic tricks, and we all marvel at how someone does a sleight of hand with a card or with a rabbit out of the hat or whatever, and we're in awe. But it's all trickery. And it almost gets to the point, John, that you almost don't want to trust anyone, especially when it comes to your money.
Yes.
Not a bad principle. And we want to be cautious.
Yes.
And we want to be wise because everybody wants our money. And I think if you are conscious of these things, conscious of these types of fraud and these types of tricks, you'll be more careful. Your friends and especially seniors will be more careful.
Yeah.
So it's something that has plagued our country. As a matter of fact, John, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre in 2021 claimed that roughly $250 million has been scammed from Canadians.
Wow.
And a lot of those folks are seniors. And that encompasses all the different types of frauds we've talked about. Now, here's the thing, John. That amount is exorbitant. But that's really only a fraction.
Because that's all that's reported.
That's all that's reported.
There's a lot
because
more.
Remember, when people are scammed, especially seniors, they're embarrassed.
Yes.
They don't want to talk about it. So only a small fraction of victims will actually call the police because it's the police that receive the report. They're the ones that send the statistics to the Canada Anti-Fraud Centre.
Right.
So we're only getting a small a number of people that are the complaints that are piling up with that centre, but the number is much higher. And people today really need to be wise. Never send money, never give money to anyone unless you're 110% positive that that's the right cause, that that's the right person, and you always want to check with your family members to make sure, is this the right thing to do?
Okay. So in the case where the grandson was apparently sick, one suggestion would be, I think, that the senior could call the parents of their son or daughter, the parents of that grandchild, and say, is everything okay with Tyler? And they'll say no. Like, that would be a great first call.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if seniors can pretend that when these type of phone calls come in, that they become a bit of a police officer.
Okay.
that they start a bit of an investigation.
Okay.
That they don't commit to anything over the phone, that they maybe take a phone number or a name and they do their own investigating. They check with a family member.
That's good.
They maybe check if they're on the internet. They check to see in their area if there's any scams or frauds that are popular in Ontario, just to double check. So the seniors need to do some investigating too. They're not to be gullible, even though seniors can be taken advantage of. It really is important for seniors to be very cautious, very wise,
Right.
not be gullible, and just protect your assets.
Okay. Let me ask you about another kind of fraud, Ken. And you mentioned it briefly, but I want to get some steps of advice from you. You know, sometimes, unfortunately, family do take advantage of their own grandmother or father or grandmother. How do you deal with, like, what would your, I know it's not necessarily a police investigation to start with, but what would your recommendation be? Like maybe a son or daughter is taking advantage of their mother or grandmother. What do you say?
Well, you know what? This is popular as well. Unfortunately,
Yes.
No family wants to deal with these type of situations where a sibling is trying to get access to, someone's money, or a child is trying to get access to a parent's money. There's numerous ways where seniors can be taken advantage of, not just financially. Mentally, there could be some psychological issues going on in the home where maybe the daughter's looking after mom, but maybe the daughter's not treating mom with the respect and the kindness and the care that mom deserves. So there's an issue going on there, and that can affect mom's psychology. She's not being treated properly. The daughter has, and I'm giving you a worst case scenario.
Yes.
And so they can be taken advantage of financially by a family member. That's a deep subject too, with families the way they are, and mom and dad get old, and the siblings are fighting over the estate, and one wants to borrow money from mom. And these are family issues that need to get worked out, and I don't think on this show I can really give enough advice but that is something for mom and dad to be aware of.
Okay.
If you have a sibling that says, they're down on their luck and they're having a hard time and they're always asking for money, just be careful. Just be cautious. Another way that seniors can be taken advantage of is they can be bullied. So we hear so much about bullying in the public schools.
Yes.
And rightfully so. We do not want bullying anymore in our schools or in society. In seniors, amongst the senior population, there can be bullying as well. Perhaps a husband and wife are living together, they're in their 80s. Maybe the gentleman begins to establish some mental health issues and isn't treating his wife as kindly as he used to, or he's applying physical force to her. These are things for people, especially in this type of environment here at Shepherd Village, to always be watching for these type of things to maybe be happening. It does happen. It's unfortunate. People get older, but we just don't want our senior population being taken advantage of physically,
Right.
mentally, emotionally, all those things.
Right. Ken, you've dealt with some pretty incredible, you've given us some pretty incredible things to think about today. Anything in closing? You've talked about, talk to somebody, talk to a family member, talk to a trusted friend, find out anything else that you would like to say to kind of wrap up what we've talked about today.
I think maybe I could finish by saying that with seniors in this type of a facility, it can be perhaps common for a senior to stay in their apartment, stay kind of closed up, maybe not be too involved socially, and that really is a personal decision. But I think it's important for there to be a bit of a community watch, that perhaps people are watching each other, and not only watching, but hearing the stories of people. If there's someone here, maybe there's someone watching today that is maybe going through something. Maybe there's a financial issue, or they've sent money away, or they're on a continual basis. They're sending money to something they think is real or true. And I'm not talking about anything related to the church. I'm talking about these scams that we were talking about earlier.
Right.
If there's someone watching today that goes, yeah, you know what, I've got some stuff going on, I would encourage that person or those persons to reach out to either yourself or to someone else here in the building, a friend, and just share your experience with that person. Get some advice from them. Maybe when it comes to getting work done on a car, like we talked about earlier, just have people that can brush up against each other, can sharpen each other here in this facility, and keep their eyes wide open for problems. I think, and it's great that you're here, John. And I think you would be a great person for people if they're struggling or they've been taken advantage of to come and speak with you. And perhaps If it's something that's that's gone on for a while, or it's quite tragic, or there's a lot of money involved, then the police would get involved.
Right.
So I think this is wonderful that you're having this today,
Right.
and I'm certainly glad to be sharing on these points.
Well, Ken, listen, I want to thank you. You've been a friend to Shepherd Village for years. Your dad had just recently passed away, living here for Reverend Roy Upton.
Yes.
What a great man.
Yes.
Your uncle, Gordon Upton, has been already interviewed, actually. I'll show you a link to his interview later.
Oh, very good, very good.
You've been a friend for many years, and I appreciate you coming today. And really, you've given us some expert advice that none of us would have known on our own. We appreciate that. And I thank you for joining us, and I thank you for tuning in today. Join us for the next episode of Senior Flicks coming your way really soon. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, John.